Welcome back, guys, to your Grimerica Outlawed Roundup. Coming at you January 26th, 2026. Maybe time isn't slowing down with 1981 Agitating Independence and Grokpocalypse now. You know what that's about?
No, I don't, but I love it.
I know what yours is about.
You do know what mine's about?
I got a pretty good idea, obviously.
Yeah. Well, because didn't you play something from, what was it, 1990 or early 90s about the independence movement in Alberta?
I read the letter.
Yeah, this is just this is from 1981.
You go back further than that.
Oh yeah, but I mean, this is like in the media, like the
Yeah.
I think it was either CSIS or the CIA was talking about it. I'll show it to you later.
There's the political cartoon from 1915.
Yeah.
That has the big cow like eating all the grain out of Alberta and Saskatchewan and shitting it out in Ottawa.
Yeah.
Or at least that's what it.
Well, that's what's frustrating is that, you know, all the forever Canadians are just calling everybody names, and they're just nobody's answering the question on why should they stay? Why should they stay? Really? What benefit are we getting? I mean, it's turned into a big boondoggle, and they don't understand the history of how long this has been an issue for people.
Boondoggle. Yeah, I agree. Well, in show news, you can now get the video for these roundups and stuff like that on Spotify. If you're listening to this and you hate YouTube and you don't want to watch it on YouTube, Patreon's not the easiest to watch video on sometimes. It's not super intuitive with your phone, but Spotify does seem to work pretty good on your phone. So that's another option to see. The problem is we got the Spotify feed going up right now, but it's a bit of a shit show. It's going to be a bit of a shit show for several months while we populate it with 1,000 episodes of back catalog. But if you haven't listened to the back catalog and you want to listen to
it, doozies in there.
Oh man, I'm going through it to like repost it all, which is a gigantic undertaking. This is like almost like a full-time like super dog fuck job, it's like because you're doing a bunch of stuff at the other time, but you still, it's like there's so much content that it's like it's almost like the whole day I've got that going on in the back return because it wants video files. So, and we have video files for like probably 2/3 or a half of all our old shows, and then the other ones you got to turn them into video files, but just the uploading takes forever. It really is. But I was going through today. Every day I find someone that you almost like forgot you had on. Or, I mean, Dan Carlin, came across Dan Carlin today, and a couple of these guys are just like, holy man.
Yeah, I came across Don Easterbrook because I was trying to help you find an old one. And Don Easterbrook about climate change and all that. Like, I mean, we're ahead of the game on some of this stuff. Climate change, weather, geoengineering, UFOs, consciousness, vaccines.
Absolutely.
And the NGO corruption web, the black projects. I mean, it goes on and on and on. It's amazing to see all this stuff coming out. I mean, it's really the age of reveal right now. I mean, what do you got? I got a bunch of Canadian stuff. I couldn't help but save up some Canadian stuff. And then you know what? I ended up accumulating a bunch of election stuff from 2020. It's going to be like a little bit of a few snippets and some highlights of what happened in 2020, because I think it's important for people to remember, because it's now that we can talk about it. Milankovitch cycles exactly 757. Now that we can talk about all this stuff, because we were so censored before. I forgot about all the stuff like you couldn't talk about climate change, vaccines, the election, 2020 election.
Vaccines are still kind of iffy.
Yeah, well, anyway, that's interesting too, because there's lawsuits going both ways. I mean, there's a group of people or a group of organizations that are going to try and sue Maha for ruining the schedule because the doctors have to pay more attention to the clients and do some more manual legwork instead of just following this massive schedule. And then there's lawsuits on the other side of it because there's some RICO lawsuits against. I don't know if it's against the organizations in the government or against big pharma companies, but that should be really interesting. So lots of legal challenges going both ways on the jabs.
Should be good. And the reason I brought up Spotify is because they do support extra bonus content. So it will be another way eventually for people to get. I mean, I could start uploading them now if we had any members, but we can eventually put the plus content there as another place to get, because YouTube doesn't really support that. It really doesn't, and the plus content probably wouldn't last on some of
Not
it.
only that, but if you're paying for Spotify monthly, it helps us if you watch us on Spotify, right?
They pay us more than YouTube does, that's for sure, just for watching.
YouTube doesn't pay us anything, I don't think. I mean,
well, they pay us
they could, but
they pay us very little.
Yeah,
for sure. But yeah, if you consume the show on Spotify, and we change them to MP4 files, so if you have premium, there won't be any ads in them, but we still get paid. So my shit is honestly sort of all over the map this week. I would say we could go anywhere. Where are you thinking? I have the Philip Bondi on Joe Rogan. I have a clip from that.
Well, let's start close to home. Let's start in Canada.
I had a clip that had Philip J. Corso in it, and for some reason I was convinced we had him on the show. I was like going through the back catalog.
No.
And you know who it was? It was Philip J. Watt.
Oh.
So it was like so close, but
I don't remember that one.
Dude, I found hundreds of shows I don't remember. Every day I find several. I mean, there's a couple doozies though, like Scott Adams, Eric Von Daniken, John McAfee, a bunch of these guys, Stanton Friedman.
I was just gonna say Stanton Friedman, yeah. Ian's asking, lives on Spotify also, or no? No, I don't think so.
I don't think it supports that. We haven't figured that out yet. If it does, we haven't. It's sort of new. We've only been going there for a few months. They opened it up to us, and then they just started offering us money recently. So not offering us money, but offering us the ability to monetize, which is good. I guess we'll see. It's definitely nothing will change with any of the other feeds. So, doesn't change any of the way you're consuming the show. Now it's just a good way to hammer through the back catalog. Really, it's a good way to do that. And if you're already on Spotify, then maybe that makes sense. Anyway, here's I wonder if this will get me in trouble. This is just a fun little clip that I found that made me laugh. I thought I'd bring it along and share it with you. This is the age of AI. You think you would have learned more in school if it was like this?
Ever wonder how nuclear power plants work? It sounds like sci-fi, but it's really just a way to heat water. It works like this. It all starts with uranium, a metal mined from rocks refined and shaped into tiny pellets. Each one's the size of a sugar cube, holds as much energy as a ton of coal. The pellets get stacked into fuel rods, which...
It's super annoying, but I just can't stop watching.
Like blink element 15.
Just metal tubes. The rods get bundled together, then loaded into the reactor core. Now here's the cool part. Uranium is unstable. Its atoms want to break apart when one...
Anyway.
Pretty cool. I mean, it's really good. I mean,
this is a direction that like pop culture could have gone in.
Splits, it releases heat and some neutrons. That's called fission. Those neutrons hit nearby atoms and split them to more heat, more neutrons, more splits. Control rods made of boron sliding in and out, absorbing neutrons. More rods in reaction slows emergency. Drop them all. So what happens with all that energy? The fuel rods are surrounded by water inside the reactor. The fission heats the water, which heats more water into steam. The steam spins a turbine. The turbine spins a generator.
I mean, the real takeaway is it's just a big steam engine.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Electricity flows out to the grid. Giant cooling towers you see from the highway. That's It's not smoke, it's steam.
Oh my God, that's a great. I love it. That's great. Well, maybe I'll build on that a little bit, because
Sure.
we are in a time now where this is actually one of the things I really appreciate what's happening in the U.S. The Secretary of Energy. This is him at Davos talking about this. So he goes through the oil and gas thing, and now he's talking about renewables and this energy.
Declining capital intensity, increasing efficiency, surging production. What's happening in the electricity sector? Surging investments, gigantic amount of monies are flowing in. And what's been the net result of that? Almost no growth at all in the production of electricity, but significant growth in the price of electricity. If you make electricity more expensive and people don't know where that policy is going to go, guess what? Energy intensive industry leaves your country. The United Kingdom and Germany are experts at that, and they can tell you. In Germany, they've invested $500 billion, more than doubled the capacity of their electricity grid.
$500 billion. Okay. They've invested $500 billion, $500 billion, double the capacity. Get this.
And they produce 20% less electricity than they did before the $500 billion investment, and they sell it at 3 times the price. Like, that is not a winning model. That is not what the world is going to duplicate. We have just gotten so far off track. Think of our industry: smart, detailed analyzing, physics, numbers, math. But when it comes to climate change, we just check rationality at the door. Forget it. That doesn't apply over here. It's only about decarbonizing and claiming we're in the middle of an energy transition. That's just, I think we are in the midst of the greatest malinvestment in human history. $10 trillion on a global base has been invested nominally in fighting climate change. What do you get for $10 trillion? Well, to be very specific on energy sources, we got solar up to 1.2% of global energy and wind at 1.4%. Collectively, 2.6% of global energy comes from these sources that $10 trillion of investments gone into, and everywhere the penetration level's high, prices have gone up, and you've, as I said, deindustrialized Germany, the United Kingdom, California.
All right, I won't keep going unless you want me to keep playing it, but
That's fine.
it's it's fascinating because he's obviously a proponent of, you know, the traditional nuclear, like you said, the modern steam engine and you know, gas and oil and coal and stuff. He talks about that. And we heard from Malcolm Bendall. He's going to come on the show, and man, he's got some interesting stuff to share with us. I mean, he's getting interest in all, man, he's getting interest in the stuff that we've been talking about, his technology, because look what's happening here in.
Did you ever end up with stocks in that thing, or? I remember it being mentioned.
So here's look at this. What's happening? I mean, this is kind of the thing he's talking about, right? Germany. This is help. My car's heating has been turned off. So a total of 100,000 car owners affected. Now, this is kind of a weird one because this is Big Brother in Germany. They forced Lexus to turn off the parking heating in Lexus cars just when it got cold and people needed it. So imagine you got a car and paid for these features, but the government just turns it off because it's not green. And obviously this isn't a joke. Toyota used remote access to turn off the preheating. Can you imagine? So Toyota, on behalf of the German government, turned off this preheating. We don't have this preheating here. I don't know what this is. It's something
Isn't
about
that just like warming your car up? Isn't
well,
that just like
not while it's running. Not while it's running. It's preheating before you run.
Yeah, I think it's the same like concept though, because it doesn't have to run to generate the heat.
So get this, it's still available for pure electric vehicles and plug-in vehicles, but for conventional drive, it only works when the combustion engine is running.
Oh, so this is like a weird, this is some weird different thing.
But in Canada, Lexus won't even sell you a remote start at all. So here we are in minus 30, and I can't start my car. I have to go out there in the weather and start it in Canada. If you have a Lexus. I mean, I'm sure you could buy some aftermarket one, but they don't sell them with remote starters. And it's probably been 15 years, 10 or 15 years. So then here's in Canada, due to the cold, lack of sun and wind for renewables, Canadian EV drivers are asked, you're not going to believe this. They're being asked not to charge their cars. China burns 13 million tons of coal per day. Newfoundland is telling people not to drive their cars. Remember when the government forced them to turn off their oil furnaces indefinitely and gave them all heat pumps that don't work, and drum roll here, rely on the same grid that insane net zero goals like mandating EVs is on? Here's from Newfoundland Hydro. EV drivers, please help us conserve this weekend with these tips. If possible, avoid charging during peak demand hours. Schedule your vehicle charge overnight. Delay non-essential charging during active conservation alerts. I mean, isn't it
all essential charging?
It's unbelievable. This is where we're at. Like, energy should be abundant. So I think things are turning around. It's great to see that like there's some actual pushback at the highest levels in the Davos, the WEF. Like the climate change thing seems to be over, except not really in Canada, because they had a clip. I don't think I have it actually. Or was I going to save it? A clip of one of the ministers talking about net zero still, like recently.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's not a surprise, is it?
Well, I mean, yeah. I was hoping that they would have abandoned it officially in Canada, but I guess not.
No, come on. That's crazy talk. Well, as long as we're in Canada, how about let's play this one, which I hate Instagram. I really do.
I know we should. I would use more Instagram if it was functional.
Yeah. So how do I restart this now? Is it just best to refresh?
I think you have to scroll up and down maybe or something like that. Or
I have taught since early 2020, approximately anywhere between 60 to 90% of students have been international students from India. This demographic pattern has been consistent across multiple cohorts and institutions and is relevant to the concerns outlined below. I am a nurse in BC and have been teaching since early 2020. Over several years, I've observed systemic issues within certain HCA colleges that compromise educational integrity and patient safety in Canada. Many programs prioritize high pass rates due to financial and enrollment pressures. A significant number of students openly state out loud they are only enrolled in the program to meet PR requirements. Colleges are aware.
PR is permanent resident. You're muted, but
yeah, I think so.
Agreed with me.
Of this, and in my experience, provide excessive academic and clinical support to ensure students pass, even when they demonstrate they are not assimilated to Canadian healthcare values or practices. Some students receive funded education, are paid wages up to over $21 an hour while attending school, and have tuition covered through partnerships involving health authorities, including Fraser Health, Vancouver Coastal Health.
Imagine. Stop it. Oh, you can't. It's okay.
I can stop it. Yeah, I think I can. I just did. So
okay. So imagine being in an industry like this is how. What's that word Bezmenov uses?
Demoralization.
How demoralizing it would be when you're in an industry, you're excited for your new career, and you have all these people in here that are just trying to get like a certificate so that they can live here, and they're just either cheating or just passing with lower grades. Like they're just letting all these people through into your industry that don't qualify. How demoralizing that would be. Like these are the secondary effects that I don't think people really look at, right? Like what it's like for people that are truthfully going through these programs.
Appear to be prioritized over competency in Canadian healthcare readiness.
In healthcare.
Several colleges, particularly in Surrey, operate as paper mills. I worked at one such institution and left after witnessing unethical practices, including an instructor who was Indian providing exam questions to students who were only Indian and leaving shortly after an investigation by the government. Instructors who maintain strict safety and competency standards are frequently bullied or reported for failing unsafe students. I have personally experienced retaliation for upholding patient safety requirements. I'm also concerned about the integrity of international criminal record checks, as these documents originate outside of Canada and may be vulnerable to alteration or misrepresentation depending on relationships they have in India. This raises additional patient safety and public trust concerns. Due to these systemic failures and lack of accountability, I've lost all confidence in the HCA education system, and I will not be renewing my license this year.
Wow.
So then you lose a good nurse over.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder what she's going to do. You know, like what would somebody like her do in that? Just completely switch careers or go to the States or go into like an alternative health system somewhere, maybe a chiropractor, a naturopath.
What else do we got here? Well, I got one more Canada thing. I guess we might as well do.
And then I'll finish off all the Canada stuff. I got quite a bit.
Okay, this is from Jason James BNN.
Oh yeah, I think I got it too.
You got the same thing?
I don't know. No, I got him, but I think it's different.
This is the Great White Money Pit. Canada is the new Venezuela. Billions of dollars dissolved in a vat of bureaucratic acid. 600 billion in public spending unaccounted for. Hundreds of millions paid to contractors who don't exist. Tens of millions paid to subcontractors for work on a surveillance app who delivered nothing. Millions spent on lavish trips for liberal ministers, private jets, limousines, luxury hotel suites. All of the spoils one could expect as an elected member of parliament in a declining second-tier first world country. Hundreds of thousands in pandemic relief funneled into private businesses owned by liberal ministers who just so happened to chair the very committees tasked with dispersing the cash. Conservatives call it a green slush fund, but that would imply there's a reserve of capital available for bribery and other nefarious deeds. I prefer to call it a liberal sludge fund since it's closer to the truth. A plundering of tax dollars intended to keep our country's wheels spinning, siphoned off and laundered into the unknown. It seems the neo-Marxist ideologues in our federal government have transformed into an oligarchy. No shit, buddy. Have you been paying attention for the last 20 years? Who could have predicted a metamorphosis of such magnitude? The Grimerica Show. If history serves as an example, then the wildly successful Soviet Union and pristine virtue of Mao's China should indicate the overwhelming benefits of socioeconomic equity for the poor and middle classes. It's not as if nearly 100 million people starved to death, often resorting to cannibalism as a means of survival, while party officials and despots indulged in lifestyles that dwarfed long-established aristocracies. No, if the communist dictatorships of old are remembered for anything, it's the prosperous utopias they created in dedication to the tenets of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Venezuela collapsed under the weight of its own corruption. Devoted leftists will argue the country buckled as a result of U.S. sanctions. But the foundational rot spread clear across their nationalized industries years before sanctions could have any meaningful impact. For a country built on top of the largest known oil reserves on Earth, sanctions should have never been an issue, and financial aid should have never been a necessity. Looking back on Hugo Chavez's reign, he appears as a cartoonishly stupid figure droning on for hours in his daisy-chained television broadcast. He was better suited as a public access cable host than a socialist dictator, and bore a striking resemblance to the wacky Emilio Molina Vargas in Woody Allen's parody film Bananas. He wasn't a ruthless tyrant belonging to the same lineage as Pinochet, or Pol Pot. Rather, he was a hapless buffoon who had zero understanding of the numerous financial machinations that underlied his own government, and was a socialist only in the sense that it was the easiest economic system to apply its one-size-fits-all solution to virtually every problem. Perhaps he was idealistic at heart, truly believing in socialism's ability to raise his people out of poverty through a form of wealth redistribution that would parlay the profits of their booming oil industry into a worker's paradise. But if he was truly an idealist, then he was idealistic to a point of being perilously naive. Billions were stolen from the treasury and moved offshore. Chavez himself would often dip his hand into the pot whenever he desired. Land expropriation was widespread, a practice Chavez would engage in spontaneously, and at times in locations that didn't make any sense. Scenes of jewelry store owners escaping through back doors with their inventory were common. If Chavez or any members of his entourage were to enter a business, they were free to take anything that caught their eye, which usually culminated in an emptying of shelves and a seizure of the storefront itself, converted into a shop for the people. Meanwhile, Venezuela's industrial infrastructure was falling apart. Oil refineries were planned but never developed, and the few that were constructed were either abandoned, half-finished, or were so poorly built that they were a serious safety hazard to be anywhere near, let alone inside of. Cash for these projects had to pass through so many hands, and corruption was so rampant that by the time it landed at the intended destination, the total amount was a tiny fraction of what had originally been allocated, if it arrived at all. It wasn't long before their boundless banditry reared its ugly head and inflation began to sink in. The Venezuelan government developed a habit of printing bolivars to cover for the missing billions, thus massively devaluing their currency in the process. Sounds familiar, huh? Chavez responded by nationalizing much of the food supply, claiming it was the greedy grocers who were to blame for the skyrocketing costs. That also sounds familiar. He also introduced price controls, which resulted in sweeping shortages since the cost of production and transportation exceeded the sale price for most products. The Venezuelan economy teetered on the edge of implosion for years, and finally disintegrated when hyperinflation hit and threw the entire country into chaos. In Canada, the Trudeau government spent much of the pandemic printing dollars in the same fashion as Chavez with his bolivars. We don't know where most of that money went because the federal Liberals have refused an audit. And much like Chavez, Trudeau recently introduced price controls on food products because, according to him, inflation isn't to blame for the ever-increasing costs. But once again, the imbalance rests solely at the feet of our greedy grocers. We've reached the end of our money printing capabilities. That much we know for sure. And now Canadian citizens have to pay the tab for mountains of cash that evaporated into an authoritarian mist, which still hangs over us in the post-COVID fallout. Carbon taxes, that is, a tax on the act of living itself, continue to intensify, flooding our treasury with hard-earned middle-class blood money, and as an additional supplemental feeder to the federal coffers. The Trudeau Liberals have introduced a second Canada pension plan because if overpaying into one system that will hold you in crushing poverty at the end of your life wasn't good enough, why not pay into a second? Did you know that, I'll finish this first. Recently, we've seen a number of House Committee hearings which have revealed some of the magic behind the Monetary Vanishing Act. In Alberta, Premier Daniel Smith has begun moving toward a withdrawal from the CPP, which, whether intended or not, would pull back the curtains and expose what many of us have long suspected. The money Canadians have paid into this system no longer physically exists. In Saskatchewan, Premier Moe has refused to collect carbon taxes on the federal government's behalf, and in turn has prompted our finance minister, Chrystia Freeland, to bizarrely threaten him with imprisonment. Furthermore, questions have been raised about where the carbon taxes are actually going since Canada has signed on to a new pandemic accord sponsored by the World Economic Forum and governed by an unelected World Health Organization. An agreement that is essentially a binding contract which includes a form of tax payments from all member nations. We've also learned that the CPP Investment Management Organization has partnered with the World Economic Forum to manage their portfolio. Why this partnership exists, nobody knows. But I would imagine Danielle Smith has somewhat of an idea that suspicion is a driving factor behind her motivation to remove Alberta from the program. Where Canada differs from Venezuela, however, is in the acute awareness of our own transgressions. Justin Trudeau isn't Hugo Chavez, now Mark Carney, obviously. And it hasn't gotten better with the corruption. And I wonder how many billions he's added to Brookfield's valuation since he got it in just like a few short months. Justin Trudeau isn't Hugo Chavez. The Liberal NDP coalition and a ragtag band of militants backed by alley hustlers. Our collapse has been carefully crafted as a means of bringing the population to its knees. It's only through desperation that the Canadian public will accept digital IDs, a universal basic income distributed via central bank digital currency, and an adjoining social credit system. If Canadians have a choice between freedom or slavery, most of us will choose freedom, despite the dangers and uncertainties involved. The goal, no, I don't agree with that.
No.
The goal is to remove
When
that.
was this written?
Oh, this was written in 2 years ago,
Okay.
November 15th, 2023.
Most of us won't choose freedom. No, I mean, that's the problem. Did you finish it?
Not even close. I finished it. Yeah. So, you know, what's interesting is my buddy, I won't say who, but he was mentioning that his maximum CPP contributions have almost doubled in 10 years.
What does that mean?
Because there's only so
It
much.
means he's forcing to put in. So he's forcing, they're forcing him to put in more.
Money off every employee in Canada's check. If you're on payroll, it's like automatic. You got to pay into the CPP. And it used to be that would
Max out around June if you're making good money.
$2,600 is a max you can pay. And then it was $3,200, and then it was $3,600, and now it's up to like $4,600.
What?
Plus they added a second one. So by the time I was off payroll, it was there was like a CPP and a CPP2. That was another. It was much less than the other one, but it was still like, you know, almost $1,000 a year.
And I mean, I guess you're getting it. It does calculate how much you've put in. When you will get it finally at 60 or 65, if there's anything left then.
I don't think there'll be anything left. The Canadian military is 18,000 strong, Cody.
Well, here, how about this? Some proof that that what Jason was talking about is true as far as the intentions of some of our leaders.
I want Canada to step up and
this is going to make you sick, but you ready? This is the one Green Party leader here, Elizabeth May, admitting it.
Participate in saying, what does the new world order look like? And it's foundationally the United Nations Charter, and it's foundationally respect for human rights, and working with other democracies and not deciding that we'll jettison human rights in exchange for trade deals. I want
Elizabeth, didn't you hear that the old rules-based order is not working and it's collapsing? You better get on board. You better read the room, Elizabeth.
Read the room, Elizabeth.
I mean, it is a new world order for sure. So when do you think, here's one for you. When do you think Chrystia Freeland, so speaking of Jason's essay that you read there too, talking about Freeland, right? When do you think she met Soros?
When she was a little kid.
I don't think so, but here, let's listen to this. This is just old Freeland. This is 2009, so not too long ago. What, 17 years ago?
What sort of a financial deal should Obama be seeking to strike when he travels to China next month?
She is. She's interviewing somebody. This is 2009.
This would be the time because
she's interviewing Soros
next month.
No, I think this would be the time because you really need to bring China into the creation of a new world order, financial world order. So I think you need a new world order that China has to be part of the process of creating it, and they have to buy in, they have to own it. And I think this would be a more stable one where you would have a coordinated policies. Given
this continued weakness in the U.S. economy, are people right to start to be concerned about the dollar?
An orderly decline of the dollar is actually desirable. A decline in the value of the dollar.
Well, for you, Soros, because you want to destroy America.
Is necessary in order to compensate for the fact that the U.S. economy will remain rather weak. China will emerge as the motor replacing the U.S. consumer. So there would be a slow decline in the value of the dollar, a managed decline.
A managed decline of the dollar. Soros revealing his disgust for the U.S. back in 2009 Also in this post, the 60 Minutes video from 98, where he tells the truths of the crimes he has committed against various countries. This video keeps on getting taken down. So this is WEF, Young Global Leader, Freeland, about the need to create a new world order owned by China, insisting that a managed decline of the US dollar was not only necessary, but actually desirable. I mean, what? So here we go. Skip, fast forward. She's still looking better in this video. She's looking pretty cute compared to her frumpy 2025 self. This is 2025 with Soros.
I first met you in Ukraine in 1990 when you began those efforts. It's actually amazing in Ukraine, the new Ukrainian government.
So this is after the Maidan coup, right? This is 2015.
The new Ukrainian leadership. Everyone who I know in that group.
Get this. What has everyone that she knows in the group of the new Ukraine leadership, what do they have in common?
I don't know. They like to give her money. They like to take our money and put it in secret accounts for her so she can move to Ukraine as soon as she's done being our finance minister.
Yeah, that's the thing. All this stuff on Ukraine. Here we go.
Has been touched somehow by open society and by Jordan, like literally either people.
Literally, the whole leadership of the new Ukraine government has been touched by Soros and the Open Society Foundation.
People personally got a scholarship, or someone, their wife got a scholarship. It's a really remarkable thing.
Well, this is for me.
Stop it. Stop the clip. Did she just admit to open corruption and bribery?
Right? I don't know. I don't take it any other way. Crazy. And that you just said, she's working for Ukraine. Like, she was our finance minister. Now she's working for Ukraine after we keep guaranteeing the money and sending more money.
She took the job while she was still a minister and a member of parliament.
Quite an experience to see this. And I didn't realize actually how big an effect it has had over a 25-year period, because those were students. 25 years later, they were leaders.
Oh, humble George. I didn't know what such a big effect I had. Well, I guess what I should do is just go over this then, because I want to finish.
Piece? Are you going to your feature piece?
No, I'm going to stay at WEF and at this bigger level stuff. So this is just a really good post about Carney's speech and who he quoted, right? This is just a good analysis of it. I mean, I'm not going to play a bunch of clips of Carney's speech at the WF. We kind of know, I'm sure everybody's heard about it a little bit, but.
Did you get my take on it?
What's your take on it?
That it was like a Trump speech in Boomer.
Oh, yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Wow. If you
Wow.
listen to some of those little.
Yeah.
There's just a couple little gotchas, a couple of metaphors. And we're going to take the sign out of the window.
Yeah.
A bunch of these weird things that could be taken as just the same thing, a different way of saying the shit Trump's saying.
I don't know. It's newspeak though, is because he doesn't believe that. That's what's hard to believe about it, right? I agree with you, but I also think he's twisting it, right? Because to me, and I'll play like a little clip here, and I'll read this, because something is going on that why would Carney be overtly pushing so hard against Trump? Something's going on with the two of them. Maybe they have so much dirt on each other.
Well, he's going to call another election, and he's hoping he can run the same play again.
Yeah, I know, but for what purpose? What does he really want?
Seats.
No, I know, but once he gets the seats, what's the purpose of I know that
they're just going to do whatever they want, regardless of what the population wants. They just want just enough so that they can claim they've got the fucking moral high ground, or they've got a mandate from the public. I mean, you've got just about every single premier in the country now, which is a Canadian version of a governor, has said they ain't doing the guns. Right? Northwest Territories come out now, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Ontario, Alberta. One of those Maritimes that ain't gay. I don't know which one, but and you're just still going to keep going. I mean, at what point is it craziness.
I know,
And
but
then
okay,
we're talking about legislation that you push through without a majority government.
which
Or
is what kind of agenda though? An agenda that's going to reinforce the WEF, that's going to stay with that, the WHO, the China, the WEF, like stay with that and oppose the fortress doctrine and oppose America. Like, is that why they want a
no, not
majority?
long term. Not long term, I don't think. I think they're just playing out a script that they need to slowly take it's like they can move quick, but the court of public opinion moves slowly. So it's like it might take them 5 years or a decade to get the Canadian public on board with the fortress doctrine, which I would argue seems to be what Carney wants.
Oh,
In
I
the
see.
long run.
Oh, I see. So he can slowly change the culture, but he can't do that until he gets a majority.
Well, I don't even know about that. I mean, I don't know. That power's just power, I guess, right? Because if you get that majority, then you can just settle in and not worry about getting voted out for 4 years. I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. Okay, so
Right now, you could get voted out at any time. You want it to, I guess, be on year terms, because right now the opposition parties could stack on you, call an election, and
I guess in my opinion, it's heating up too fast for that long game that you're talking about. Like, think like we're going to be in a civil war pretty quick here if we're not already. Some people might even say that the states is in one, we're in one. I mean, what's happening?
they don't extend CUSMA, then I don't think the average Canadian has any idea the economic pressure that's going to be put on the country. That's
And
the
we're not-
real sort of
We're
elephant.
not set up to get out of it quick either. That's the problem.
There's no way. There's no way you can get out of it inside a decade. You know, it's just the complete. It's not like, okay, we'll just put it on a boat and send all this shit to China. You're talking about it. You have to make relationships with people that are selling it.
Well,
in
not
China.
only that, when you see the
Like,
percentages, like
that's been set up over like hundreds of years between Canada and the States. It's not like America is buying Alberta's stuff. It's a bunch of American companies that are buying the stuff from, you talk about Ontario's economy, Manitoba, all these provinces have more dealings with the US than they do with the provinces beside them. And it's not just like a straight across deal with America. It's a culmination of a million deals between a million different companies on either side of the thing. You can't just bring that up again overnight. I mean, you got to go to China and fucking meet some people.
Well, tell them the percentage of it.
I think it's 88% in Alberta.
85 or 88. It's anywhere between, let's say, 80 and 88, depending on the province. And China's only like 4%.
Yeah, and like I say, you can't. It's not like China's not going to buy all your whatever Ontario sells. They're not going to buy all your shit.
Even if you double it, it goes to 8%. What does that get you as far as an overall economy?
Yeah, so you got to make deals with a bunch of people in a bunch of countries and start selling them your stuff. And you try doing that in Europe, where they've got a bunch of crazy rules that a bunch of our products probably can't even get in there.
Not only that, but you've got the shipping and all the transportation, logistics, which isn't also friendly to the environment. So you've also got that. Instead of just driving it over there, you're shipping it overseas. I mean, come on.
Did you know there's a boat lost at sea every day?
What? How big? Like a shipping
I don't
boat?
know how big. Just like I've been watching this YouTube show. I think it's like from an old Discovery Channel series or something way back in the day.
Pirates?
No, it's just like boats that sink, just like a huge container ships that just like break in half and sink. And I was going through a thing. It said in the early 80s, it was every 6 weeks a giant boat was sinking.
Wow.
So me and the wife were just going through and searching stuff with ChatGPT, and it's like, well, if you take the smaller boats into account, it's every single day some sort of boat somewhere.
Wow.
Goes missing.
Creepy. All right.
I'm good for going on boats in the ocean, man. That seems fucking bonkers to me. I'm not that kind of an Indian.
So this is from Dr. Andrea Wagner. Carney's speech at WEF, and she tags him there, invoking Václav Havel, landed harder than people realize. Havel's warning wasn't simply about communism as an ideology. It was about any society can be cemented into a soft or hard totalitarianism when ordinary people are pressured to repeat slogans they don't believe just to be safe, employed, and socially accepted. That is how the lie becomes infrastructure, not through tanks, but through compliance. Canada has its own version of this now. It is the compelled language, the forced scripts, the institutional rituals where people nod along to statements they privately reject. That sex is infinitely malleable, that women and men are interchangeable categories, that merit must be subordinated to equity as defined by bureaucracy, and that the default political solution is always more administration, more surveillance, more power for the state. Freedom of speech has long died. And the most corrosive part is the moral theater. Scapegoating mostly conservative white men as a class, lowering standards in the name of virtue, and calling it progress, while universities and institutions lose the capacity for honest debate. The moment truth becomes punishable and conformity becomes a job requirement, the society is already sliding slowly, politely, and then all at once. Havel's point was simple. The regime survives because people participate in the lie. The only antidote is refusing to speak what you do not believe. Canada needs less coercion dressed up as a compassion and more courage to defend reality, meritocracy, and free speech before we wake up in a country where people are investigated, sanctioned, or even arrested for saying the obvious. I grew up on the slogan, "Workers of the World Unite." I miss Václav Havel. Here's a 50-second. You want me to play this 57? No, I don't. No,
No.
No, I don't even want to hear the guy talk about it. So then this is what Trump's guy Lutnick, probably the most abrasive speech in the WEF, what he says about Carney here.
Canadians have the second best deal in the whole wide world. If they continue this path, right, which is a political path of a certain thing. I'm going to go fly to China. I'm going to open up my markets to China. I'm going to take Chinese electric cars and do all sorts of this stuff. Then when USMCA gets renegotiated
this year,
sort of like towards the end of the summer, in the middle of the summer, do you think the president of the United States is going to say, you should keep having the second best deal in the world? I mean, you guys are such great friends. I mean, they are playing with a set of rules that they haven't really thought.
I can hear it in your voice. You're excited about negotiating this, aren't you, later this year?
Well, they've sort of given a sort of a roadmap of saying, so I guess we should change the whole deal, right? You want to be like the rest of the world. You don't want to be this favored neighbor because you've taken it so for granted that you're willing to come to Davos and say there's two hegemonic powers in the world and we're going to decide which one we're going to work with. Really? You're going to either work with the United States of America, where 75% of your economy is totally tied to it, or China? Why would you say that? I think it's political. You know, I think if we take it correctly, we should look at it as just political noise coming out of a prime minister. And maybe this is working for his election. Right? Because I don't think it can be real. Yeah.
I don't think it can be real. I mean, this is, you know, kind of what I'm wondering is why would he overtly do this? It just seems like, I guess maybe because it worked, the elbows up thing worked, and he's going to continue it until maybe you're onto it. Maybe that's exactly what he needs, is just get a majority, and then him and Trump will start doing their thing, and they'll slowly combine the two. I mean, maybe that's what's holding it back.
And make it seem like our idea.
And make it seem like it's our idea.
All right, you want to hit some Grokpocalypse?
Well, let me just hit my thing first, because I'm sticking with the Canadian stuff here. So this is just from Archives, RCMP, secret memo from 1981, just for all these Easterners that are so upset with Alberta, and they're just calling us names, calling them names, and us too, I guess, in Saskatchewan, because we would even consider this traitors, all this other stuff, all these names. You can't really give us any reasons why we shouldn't leave, but you're going to call us names on why we are trying to, instead of looking at the real reasons. What were we going to say?
I said, I am especially getting bullied over this.
You're going to get especially buried as the Separatist token Indian.
There's a big rally right now.
Secret 1981 memo. Yeah. Do you want to talk about that?
Well, we almost went to it. We strongly considered going down there.
Oh yeah, strongly considered.
We'll end up going to some eventually because they have offered us some special access passes. So we'll end up going to something and letting you guys know.
So this was from the blacklocks.ca. So there was a 1981 memo that feared Alberta Premier Peter Lougheed could lead the West out of confederation. Western separatism lacks a dynamic leader, but might succeed with a charismatic organizer like Lougheed, wrote the Mounties counterterrorism unit. So the RCMP is obviously paying attention to this way back then in the early 80s, worried that groups named in the memo: Alberta Farmers Union, Canada West Federation, Saskatchewan Taxpayers Association, and Western Canada Concept, a short-lived independence party that elected a lone member of the Alberta legislature in 82. Since the federal election of February 89, feeling politically alienated from Ottawa and exploited by the East, the activities of the Western separatist movement have been on the increase, wrote the RCMP. I find it fascinating, eh?
History repeats.
Carney may force it. Equalization of $220 billion to Quebec since 57. Alberta since 1964, a big fat zero. They basically pay for Quebec. Numbers don't lie. There you go.
There you have it. All right, Grokpocalypse. This is David Sunfella, who we should have on the show. Oh, I'm not even following him. No, I'll follow him first. The impending pole shift. Cyclical cataclysms in human history. Grok prompt. Review all the information, videos, and links on this resource, which is his webpage. And write an article that describes the main issues it tackles. Start with Plato's belief that global disasters are intrinsic, blah, blah, blah. Then describe the theories of ethical skeptic Ben Davidson, highlighting their similarities and differences, provide an overall assessment of the likelihood these theories are correct, including support from such theories as Noblart and Zacharias Pro, and conclude by providing a summary of future events to watch out for, along with a potential timeline for the predicted pole shift. So this is kind of like getting into more high-level AI predictability stuff. So here it says, the impending pole shift, cyclical cataclysms in human history, Plato's view on recurring global disasters. Ancient Greek philosopher Plato and dialogues such as Timaeus, Critias, and Laws portrayed laws. What's laws?
Laws? Oh, maybe that's a guy. Maybe that's what our law is named after, that guy. I wonder.
Well, I was thinking it sounds like a different dialogue of Plato's.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it would be. Yeah.
Maybe we should read it.
Yeah, maybe we should. Yeah.
Portrayed global disasters as an inherent repeating element of human existence. He described periodic cataclysms, often involving fire, floods, and cosmic upheavals that wipe out civilizations, leaving only isolated survivors to rebuild from scratch. In Timaeus, Plato recounts Egyptian priests telling Solon of many destructions of mankind arising out of many causes. The greatest have been brought about by the agencies of fire and water. That's what the Hopis say too, right? These events purge the earth, sparing mountain-dwelling herdsmen who lack written records, forcing humanity to begin all over again like children. Plato emphasized that such cycles erase knowledge, with survivors forgetting prior advancements. In Laws, Book 3, he questions whether there was once a total destruction of human life by flood. We got to read this book. With only a small remnant surviving, highlighting the amnesia that follows. This perspective aligns with the global myths of deluge and resets, suggesting disasters are not anomalies, but a cosmic rhythm shaping history. Modern theorists like the ethical skeptic Roger Cunningham and Ben Davidson, Sunweatherman, both past guests of the Grimericans show, multiple appearances in that back catalog, have revived these ideas through scientific lenses, proposing mechanisms for pole shifts and geomagnetic excursions that could trigger global upheaval. The ethical skeptic's ECDO theory posits that Earth-centric process where the planet's core and mantle decouple due to exothermic reactions, leading to a rotational flip akin to the Debyannikov effect observed in spinning objects. Key evidence includes a 35% drop in Earth's magnetic field from its Holocene peak, now just 5.7% above a 7,000-year low during Bond Event 4. This weakening, combined with geodetic anomalies like length of day variations and an anomalous inward tilt of Earth's wobble from June 2024 to January 2025, signals imminent instability. The theory predicts a rapid crustal shift, with the new North Pole at approximately 14 degrees south, 31 degrees east, eastern Zambia near Malawi. How close is that to South Africa? And South Pole at 14 degrees north, blah, 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 Central Pacific north of Hawaii. Ancient flood stories and electrical activities from 12,900 years ago support this cyclical event. Ben Davidson, through his Space Weather News platform, emphasizes a solar systemic trigger, a recurring solar micronova that collapses Earth's magnetic field, causing a geomagnetic excursion and a 9-degree crustal displacement within hours to a day. The field has weakened by 30%, with poles migrating rapidly, the North Pole towards Siberia at 30 to 50 kilometers a year. Influenced by the galactic current sheet, this leads to cosmic ray surges, flash frozen extinctions, and global floods. Predicted poles, the new north in the Bay of Bengal, near India and Bangladesh, and the south off of Peru. Evidence draws from paleomagnetic data, misaligned ancient sites, and the expanding South Atlantic anomaly. Similarities, both theories converge on a cyclic catastrophe every 12,000 years driven by magnetic weakening in core mantle dynamics, resulting in crustal instability, massive floods, and technological collapse. They share 80 to 95% of tenets, including the need for preparation, stockpiling, and supplies, seeking high elevations near pivot zones, and avoiding coasts. Core mechanics and micronova are seen as compatible elements in a causal chain. I've seen that it looked like Venezuela might be right on one of them pivot points, so that the wind and everything else, you'd be like on the pivot point, so you're not caught up in all the chaos, or at least not as much. The splashback could still get you. Likelihood, we know that. The similarities we know. Assessing the likelihood of these theories. The likelihood of an impending pole shift appears increasingly plausible based on the converging data from geophysics, paleomagnetism, and rotational anomalies. Though it remains speculative and debated in mainstream science, the ethical skeptics ECDO is bolstered by robust geodetic evidence such as LOD anomalies and wobble collapses, making it stronger than Davidson's micronova-driven model, which relies more on solar cycles and historical correlations. Peer-reviewed studies like Chanel and Vigilotti, 2019, on field intensity and extinctions, and Cooper et al., 2021, on a 42,000-year crisis, lend credence to magnetic instability, leading to cataclysms. Support from independent sources strengthens this assessment. Craig Stone documents rapid directional changes in geomagnetic reversals, citing Segnati 2014, for transitions occurring in a fraction of a century. His analyses reveal unprecedented rotational anomalies, including a 2020 shift in Earth's rotation rate, a record variance in polar motion by June 2025, and a sharp hook inward tilt from June 2024 to January 2025. Noble Art ties these to ECDO with paleomagnetic data from Ecuador showing 104-degree pole displacements, matching predictions. Zacharias Pro provides quantitative modeling estimating 80+% confidence that core mantle decoupling is accelerating with a 3 to 8 year timeline for destabilization, with the highest probability in 3 to 6 years. His data shows Chandler and annual wobbles collapsing to near zero, with core mantle coupling at 5% of baseline and polar drift accelerating exponentially. Doubling time is a month. By mid-July 2026, drift could reach 80 mas a day, leading to runaway true polar wander. Geomagnetic field strength is under 6% from bond event 4 lows, with whatever that is, statistical significance across 7 indicators. Overall, while uniformitarian geology downplays rapid shifts, the alignment of modern anomalies with ancient records and paleo data suggests a 70 to 80% likelihood of a near-term event per these models. Skeptics argue these are natural variations, but the unprecedented convergence of signals challenges that view. Future events and potential timelines. Key indicators to monitor include accelerating magnetic field decline, polar motion cusps, LOD accelerations, geomagnetic jerks, and solar activity peaks. Watch for increased volcanism, earthquakes, cosmic ray surges, atmospheric phenomena like auroras at low latitudes, and infrastructure failures like power outages from the weakened magnetic spheres, rising sea levels in unexpected regions, anomalous ice melt, and biological disruptions, migrations, and mutations. Hey, speaking of mutations, you know what other show I came across in the back catalog? That Eugene McCarthy one.
Yeah.
Hybridization. We got to have that guy back on again.
Yeah, we should.
A potential timeline synthesizes sources. Early signs 25-26 involve magnetic weakening and rotational anomalies as seen in June 25 variances. Decoupling accelerates in 26 to 28 with exponential drift by mid 26, potentially triggering runaway wander. Full shift could unfold in 3 to 8 years, 29 to 34, aligning with Davidson's 43 to 45 window, but compressed per model. Cyclic recurrence every 12,000 years implies we're overdue since the last 12,900 years ago. Preparation focuses on high ground safe zones as lowlands face deluges and technology fails. So there's Grok's take on there's Grok's. No, I don't have ham radio. I don't care to communicate with anyone else once the shit power goes out.
Have you seen the response to somebody on that, from somebody on that?
From whom?
Andrew Cote.
I don't know who that is. On that article?
Yeah. I want to get, because you're so versed in this, I want to get what you think on this, on his response here. This has to be the most debunkable doomsday prophecy I see circulating on Twitter these days.
I did
What?
see that. I've seen that.
What do you think about these two? There are two major claims, right? The Earth magnetic field undergo periodic reversal with mean time of 12,000 years. This leads to decoupling of Earth's mantle from crust and a massive realignment. And a major effect, the oceans will wash over it. Let's destroy it in a few sentences. Geology tracks the periodic reversal of the Earth's magnetic field. This last is the last one was 780,000 years ago. That lines up with Bruce Fenton's work so well. Hey, that's crazy. Pole reversals.
Yeah, hybridization.
Yeah, the ET craft crashing and the humans being basically, I guess, genetically altered back then. Pole reversals are mostly stochastic. Over the last 83 million years, there have been 183 reversals for an average time of mean time, I guess, 450,000 years. Some weak evidence for periodicity around 30 million. The rotational dynamics of the Earth are already stable. More on that later. So I don't know. I mean, I just don't know if he's taking in all the other.
Well, no, it's just
accounts.
spitting out the mainstream talking points.
Yeah. Like what about all the stuff that we see like left over from these cataclysms? Like
Well,
the
that's
Cyclopean walls and all that sort of civilization. Pre-modern civilizations.
I got it. All right, so I should not play this clip. Maybe we could take this one to second half of show, but I would like to at least play this Hancock Carlson clip before we get out of here.
All right.
I was talking to Randall yesterday for a while. I actually I was talking to him about some other stuff, but I did run the Lodge 777 down Antarctica thing by him. And he was like, well, if I was stuck in Antarctica forever with a bunch of Masons, we'd end up starting a lodge.
What does that mean?
He just didn't think there's like a conspiracy to it. He's like, it's just what Masons would do if they were in Antarctica for months. They would start a lodge. And the 7 makes sense because it's the 7th continent. So, you know, right?
I didn't know anything about this lodge.
So, well, it's supposed to be the Lodge of the Penguin. And I
don't know this.
I got some stuff for the second half of show from that goes back to the WikiLeaks drops about them shipping a bunch of penguin.
Oh, wow.
Guess what? What do you think they are? Penguin what?
Penguin what? Penguin
Pineal glands.
What?
Second half of show. That's why you want.
Oh my God.
Let me play this clip.
I think actually that some of the mysteries in our past that remain to be exposed do concern secret societies and do concern a behind the scenes organization that is somehow involved in making civilizations. I won't go too far into that, but there are so many traditions, for example, from ancient Sumer, which speak of this, which speak of the role of these particular advisors who seem to be part of a esoteric or secretive group, which is there to guide and advise societies over very, very long periods of time. And the academic disbelief that such ideas could be retained for thousands of years is, in my view, nonsense. Passed on within a highly structured oral tradition, the ideas can survive potentially forever.
Potentially, yes. And it brings us to a question that I've intrigued me for a long time, which is that given catastrophes, one of the details of myths over and over again is that there was some group, some individuals that had foreknowledge.
Yeah.
Now, where did that foreknowledge come? I mean, we can kick it upstairs and say it was some kind of divine revelation, but that doesn't really explain anything.
Lost ancient science.
Right. Somebody had foreknowledge. They were able to prepare, again, referring to like the Masonic craft. There's a legend of Enoch knowing that the flood was going to come. And so he took steps to preserve the ancient science and stories by.
And of course, it's the same story with Atrahasis in Mesopotamia.
Yes.
Warned by the god Ea or Enki of the coming of the flood, takes steps, makes preparations, and even buries tablets with knowledge upon them in the city of Sippar.
Yes, and
to be recovered later by mankind after the disaster.
Well, and then like Plato says right there in Timaeus, he says, well, those who survive are going to typically be who essentially survive by the luck of the draw are going to be wholly preoccupied with continuing to survive in the aftermath, in the desolation of in the aftermath of a flood or a catastrophe, whereas those who took steps to prepare are going to be the ones who are preserving the knowledge to pass it on. And that to me does not sound so exotic or esoteric or ridiculous that, I mean, even today we have prepper movements. People are
It sounds perfectly reasonable. When it comes down to something that threatens the existence of the entire human race, we are an innovative and inventive species, and we would find a way around it. We'd find a way to keep the seed of knowledge going, to keep it coming through the catastrophe to the times that followed. And that's what I think we're living in. We're living in the times that followed, and that's what the ancient Sumerians also believed, that we're living in the post-Diluvian era. And this is ultimately the same story that Plato is telling us in the Atlantis tradition as well.
Anyway, some good. I mean, what a show getting those two together.
Yeah, that would be good.
I got the Ukrainian assassin thing that we'll save for the second half of show, and a few other things. But I suppose we should probably get the second half of the show. Of course, if people want to check that out, do head over to Outlawed.ca today. Sign up for that $6 a month. That's still, the best way to get the second half of show. For Outlawed.ca. If you want the video, we'll sign you up for the Substack anyway. And you'll get all the premium RSS feed, all that kind of stuff. Check out Grimerica.ca for the podcast. Contact at thecabin.com for trips and events, and adultbrain.ca for all these great audiobooks. Maybe we'll add Laws to the collection soon. It does look like a bit of a slog, though.
17 hours.
17 hours. Yeah, it's like, I've Plato too. It's not like, it's a tough read. Anyway, do sign up at GrimericaOutlawed.ca. Check out that new Grimerica Inc. Spotify feed. Share that with your friends. And other than that, just sign up for Plus. Tell your friends to sign up for Plus. Start us off in that second half, Graham, and I will shut down all these live streams.
All right. Well, I'm going to just talk about this. Start off with this election fraud